The year is 1204. Constantinople's towering walls have stood unconquered for 8 centuries. Then the ground trembles. A massive wooden arm swings skyward, hurling a 300-pound stone block through the air at devastating speed. The projectile arcs over 2 football fields and punches through ancient stone like a battering ram through parchment. The Byzantine Empire's greatest fortress is about to fall to a machine that turns physics into pure destruction. Welcome to Engines of Conquest. Today we're unleashing medieval Europe's ultimate siege weapon, the Trebuchet. The Trebuchet didn't emerge from nowhere. It evolved from centuries of human ingenuity meeting the brutal reality of siege warfare. While the Chinese had developed counterweight artillery as early as the 4th century, it was 12th century European engineers who perfected this physics-powered monster. Picture this: a wooden framework towering 3 stories high, dominated by a pivoting arm longer than a telephone pole. At one end hangs a counterweight, sometimes filled with stones, sometimes with lead, often weighing as much as a modern car. At the other end sits a sling holding your ammunition of choice. The genius lies in the physics. When that counterweight drops, it converts potential energy into kinetic energy with devastating efficiency. The long arm amplifies this force through leverage, while the sling extends the effective length even further. The result? A machine that could hurl 300-pound stones over 300 yards with terrifying accuracy. But trebuchets weren't just stone throwers. Medieval engineers loaded them with fire pots, diseased animal carcasses, even captured enemy heads, anything to break both walls and morale. By 1200 AD, every major European army considered the trebuchet essential. Kings bankrupted treasuries building them. Engineers guarded their designs like state secrets. And defenders learned to fear the distinctive creak and crash that announced their arrival. March 1204. The Fourth Crusade has taken an unexpected turn. Instead of Jerusalem, Crusader forces stand before Constantinople, the greatest fortified city in the medieval world. For 8 centuries, these walls have turned back every assault. Today, they face something different. The Crusaders deploy multiple trebuchets in coordinated bombardment. These aren't the primitive catapults of previous sieges. These are precision weapons capable of targeting specific sections of wall with devastating consistency. The first stones crash into the sea-facing wall, then another. The rhythm becomes relentless. Every few minutes, another thunderous impact. Byzantine defenders watch in horror as stones weighing more than 3 men punch holes through fortifications that had stood since the time of Justinian. But the trebuchet's psychological impact proved even more devastating than the physical damage. The constant bombardment shattered defender morale. Sleep became impossible. The very ground shook with each impact. Within days, sections of Constantinople's population began demanding surrender. When the walls finally gave way, it marked more than military victory. It demonstrated that no fortification, however legendary, could withstand properly deployed trebuchet artillery. The age of impregnable castles was ending. The conquest of Constantinople sent shockwaves across medieval Europe. If the Byzantine Empire's greatest fortress could fall to siege engines, nowhere was truly safe. Kings immediately began redesigning their castles, making walls thicker and lower. The entire science of fortification evolved in response to this single weapon. The trebuchet's dominance lasted barely 2 centuries before gunpowder changed everything. But its impact on medieval warfare cannot be overstated. It transformed siege warfare from prolonged starvation tactics into decisive artillery bombardment. More importantly, the trebuchet established principles that still govern modern artillery: indirect fire, trajectory calculation, and concentrated bombardment. When military engineers developed the first cannons, they applied lessons learned from trebuchet warfare. Even today, trebuchets capture our imagination. From medieval reenactments to engineering competitions, from video games to Hollywood blockbusters, this ancient war machine represents the marriage of human ingenuity and destructive power. Some military historians argue the trebuchet was medieval Europe's first true weapon of mass destruction, capable of destroying not just walls but entire ways of life. It ended the age when a well-built castle meant absolute security. It proved that no defense, however formidable, could resist human innovation indefinitely. In the end, the trebuchet represents something profound about human nature. We are tool makers, problem solvers, and when faced with an insurmountable obstacle, we don't accept defeat. We engineer a solution. The trebuchet didn't just knock down walls. It announced that human ingenuity could overcome any barrier given enough time, resources, and determination. Which brings us to you, watching this centuries later in a world shaped by that same drive to innovate, to overcome, to conquer. What weapon changed history the most?